Now, some time ago, I mentioned that if you were on a holiday or you had an expedition or if you were going around the world or you have experiences or you've had a particular story to tell, shoot your own material, send it to bases, and we'll put it together somehow. Well, on this occasion, Ayin has shot his own material. It was the other side in Austin, Texas, within his studio and his home and house and things, where he has compiled this edit from the Skype, which we've aired on the basis of his experiences in Mexico, where he went through traumatic experiences, and he wished to convey those in this Skype. So this is his version. So if you have an experience or you're in a part of the world where you've got beautiful scenery and you've got your cameras, you shoot as much as you can, clips, stills, or whatever it is, we'll see if we can put it together. However, the idea is that you put it together and put it into the film festival. So if you have an experience or you have a story to tell, shoot it, edit it, and submit it to the film festival so people can see your story the way that you want it to be seen. On this occasion, it's me who's being seen looking at Ayin going through a traumatic experience describing the blood ritual in Mexico, which the Mexicans do. It's part of their culture, and he brought it to us with his cameras and his experience.
We'll do it right now. We can have a quick break.
What I'm ready to tell you about is the blood sacrifice ritual in Mexico.
Oh, it's tiny. It's this tiny little.
Yes, it'll be at the bottom of my
It's
hand.
this tiny little fucker. I can barely see it even.
Well, if you click on it, you get a little expand button.
Oh yeah, there we go. Oh, and Miles, I'll get that later. Okay. Oh, you're trying to encourage me to do littering. Let me.
Yeah, let me just save the world real quick.
Right, yeah. Right before dinner.
Yeah.
All right now. Okay, we're here at the new studio. You don't know studios, right? Huh? If there's one truth in the cosmos, one cosmic truth, the truth is you don't know, huh? You don't know. What's up? That's it, huh? All right now. Miles Johnson. Let's say hi to Miles.
Let's. Hi, Miles.
Hi, Miles. So anyway, you got all these questions that you sent me to fill in on our 2-hour-long interview the other day. And so let's just talk about a few things. And thanks for asking about the new studio facilities here. We're here at the Hub in Austin, and I'm a client of Conscious Ventures, and we're working with Brett Thomas and Randall Wilborn and a bunch of other very talented and sexy motherfuckers, huh? We love these people. And right now we're here at the Hub, and this is where our new studio is. And I was fortunate enough to get a chance to buy in on the studio, so I'm one of the owners. And so I'm here with Bridget from the Conscious community, right? And we're just chilling in the hot tub, and we got this great, buildings and stuff here. This is basically the compound. So anyway, here's the deal. We were fortunate enough to be interviewed by Miles on my, I guess what you'd call world debut last November, I think it was. And then shortly after that, we did that Leap Project interview, and it's practically gone viral. I mean, I'm just about beside myself with disbelief and everything like this. But there's been a number of questions that have come up. In other words, what is Laguna Catemaco? So, right, we were there. So how do I tell you what Laguna Catemaco is? I looked it up on Wikipedia, right? Yeah. So anyway, Laguna Catemaco it's like a caldera. It's a volcano, it's extinct. And so it blew its top or whatever, and now it's got all this water in there, so it's like turned into a lake. But as far as, lakes go in the earth, it's very young. In other words, it's like about 10,000 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a baby.
Yeah.
But also because of the volcanic nature of it. That's where it has all that spiritual energy and stuff, and that's why we had to go swimming in the waters, and we had to apologize to the north, apologize to the south, east, and west. Actually, this is more corresponding to apologizing to the water, apologizing to the air, apologizing to the earth. We did all of those things. It was a ritual, a ceremonial ritual. I was under somewhat of a trance, and during the recounting of apologizing to the earth, I was referring to it as my mother, and I broke down and crying and everything. So it's a moving experience for me. But then when we got over it, I was like, okay, Enrique, here's the deal. I said, now we're going to apologize to the fire. He's like, homeboy, you can't contaminate the fire. You don't worry about that. Don't worry about the fire.
Hold your horses.
Yeah, you're worried about the wrong thing. So anyway, it was very fascinating. But Enrique Berdon himself is a very fascinating man. We made arrangements to meet with Enrique before we went down there. Enrique Martin Berdon is what I call a sorcerer. He may not refer to himself as that. He actually wants me to introduce him to the world as the good son. And Enrique has a huge audience, which is like 99% Spanish speaking. So one of the things, that I'm doing is helping introduce Enrique to the English speaking world.
Okay, all right, yeah.
And it was fascinating because when we were down there, there had been a Russian psychic who's famous down there, and he came down there with his team a couple years before, and they were, filming everything, and so, he's opening himself to the world. But when Rick and I went to Catemaco, which is a resort town, it just so happened that the man who we had already booked the rooms with at that hotel, it just so happens by coincidence and whatever, and I don't believe in coincidence, but he was Enrique Berdon's cousin, right? I mean, so it's like weird, I mean, in a town of like, I don't know, 250,000 people or something, yeah. And so I just flat out asked this man, I said, is Enrique Martin Berdon one of the most powerful men in Mexico? Because I'd been telling my team that, because that's the truth. And this man, his cousin, sat there and he thought about it for a second, and he looked up and he looked down and he looked me directly in the eyes, and he said, at this time. So yes, at this time, Enrique is one of the most powerful people in Mexico. The people of Mexico are, I'm not going to say more spiritual than the people in the United States, but it seems that way.
I mean, they're raised under a different culture, so that takes a big toll on people as well.
They're much closer to the earth, into the earth mother,
Yeah.
Even with all of their Catholic influences, which, I don't badmouth the Catholics, but we know that it had a somewhat devastating effect on our culture. But their magic and rituals, which have been around for thousands of years and even being practiced around Lake Catemaco, because the thing is, Laguna Catemaco is known as one of the most holy and spiritual places in all of Mexico. And on top of that, and having nothing ostensibly to do with that, they are a resort, vacation, locale or destination in Mexico. For instance, if you or I or some of our friends wanted to go to a fancy vacation, they might go to Aspen, Colorado or something. But down there, you might be, the people who've done good in life may go to Laguna Catemaco.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And have absolutely nothing to do with the occult or any of this stuff. But that being said, Laguna Catemaco is known as the city of witches. So all throughout Mexico, it's known. I mean, if you need to hire a witch or whatever, you go down there. They've got good ones, bad ones, in between ones, fake ones, real ones, anything you can imagine. Really, anything you can imagine. And being from the conscious community, being accepted by the conscious community for so many years, it was hard for me to relate exactly what I was doing down there. Because, as the listeners know, I'm going down there to perform blood sacrifice rituals. And these, people were harmed. This is, and what I want everyone to understand is these animals that are sacrificed are bred specifically for this purpose. These animals have a purpose in their life and are treated better than other farm animals. And there really is a holy and sacred purpose to this. And unbeknownst or, unexpected by me, 1 month ago I started going through something really weird, and I was doing my intense workouts, and I woke up after one of these workouts crying uncontrollably. And I reached out to one of my sisters who had been working with me from Colorado, who I'd since found out that she is a certified life coach. But that doesn't even describe what she is, because she's an energy mover. Yeah. And so for the first time in my life, I'm not going to say how old I am, but after living, a lifetime in objective reality, this lovely woman who I've known for 31 years and who I went to the same school in Lubbock, Texas. You're from Houston, right?
Yeah, outside of Houston.
So, kind of very similar accent.
Yep.
But anyway, she right off the bat was like moving energy in my body.
Yeah, that's magical.
I mean, it is. I mean, and so what she told me right off the bat, and she has guides, and she was talking to them this and she's a very powerful person. And she informed me that I'm basically having a Kundalini awakening right now, and that she has not had one. And so it was like a little bit intimidating,
But yeah.
scary, right? Because I wasn't in the market for a Kundalini awakening, right?
I mean, is that new in my room? You gotta expect the unexpected.
I know. So we've been working with Kira, and since that time, she's been having me do my exercises to like activate my lower dantian, my middle dantian, my upper dantian, and then the hata and all this stuff. And I don't know how to do all this stuff. I'm just a beginner. Fortunately, I've been immersed in the conscious community here for 3 or 4 years, and a lot of the people who are the leaders of this community who are more my age have been so gracious to to help me and to be my guides, and I've just been accepted in this community, and it's that's overwhelming for me. I've like had friends and stuff like this. I was not some high school outcast or anything, but just to be accepted in a community like that where it's so real.
On, genuine, just love and acceptance, and it's not something you find in a lot of people, not among a whole group of people that makes up a community.
You just said it, love. And that's what Kira at first, several months ago, I was like, gosh dang, is that the only thing she can talk about? Love.
That's what it is. It's
I
like
know it.
magic
I
key
know
to
it.
everything.
I'm trying, Bridget. I'm trying to learn it. And she just like basically grabbed me by the neck and she's like, listen, motherfucker, love. You understand me? And I was, mentally tried to, and I'm starting to, because now she's moving my energies. And there's been something else that has been going on that I've been telling, some of my old trips on Facebook and stuff. It's another very powerful lady that I've known for 31 years. She's one of the most beautiful women in the world, and I am in love with her. And she loves me too, and so it's...
Yeah, that's nice.
It is,
To
because...
actually share that with someone and have it reciprocated.
To be in love for the first time in your life at
That is crazy.
X years old.
You know what? That's amazing. I'm so happy
X
for
years
you.
old, right? I mean, so... On White Monkey Mountain, they've got these goddamn monkeys, and they're white, so...
Was it because of astrological significance, or a movement of the planets, or some kind of a thing that it meant that he had that power at that time?
I don't know. I think it was because, and let me tell you why, or let me tell you his explanation for it. Because he comes from a family of sorcerers, but he was somebody that who forsook the ways of his ancestors. In other words, he was not interested in sorcery. He was more maybe interested in disco, or things that young people do. And so he went away from that. And even though he had been raised in that, even though maybe up to 10 or 12 years, but maybe when he turned about 24 or 25 years old, he decided to get back into it after being a bricklayer and stuff like that for years. And one thing that he was very proud of, that he told me, is that for the last 9 years, and this man is 52 years old, and for the last 9 years he's been making a living solely from doing his work. I mean, I call it sorcery. That's probably not what he calls it, but and of course he has his compound and everything like that. So everyone in Mexico has to work very hard. They have a vibrant economy there. The fact that it takes 20 pesos to make $1 makes people think, oh, their economy is weak and all that stuff. That's really just that their currency is disvalued from ours. So everybody there, from what I can see, who wants a job can get one. But at the same time, yes, they have to work very hard. And so he was very proud of that.
And what happened with the ceremony that would have been so scary to your crew? I mean, were they justified in not coming with you?
Well, they were, and we even had a conversation about it, and there was the reasons that they were afraid because people are real fear-based anyway. But immediately, as soon as they told me that, I was totally forgiving of them because I knew that it was meant to be, and I didn't know. And I was even telling them the next day on the white magic ritual, not even half jokingly, Lucifer didn't want y'all to be there, filming the deal. Now Enrique Berdon was a little bit disappointed. But we filmed the next day, the white magic ritual, with Enrique and Yane, the beautiful sorceress, and the old man, the mysterious old man, and the boat captain, who made sure we never photographed any of the serial numbers of his boat. And then he also did not want to be photographed. And so, he didn't know what this documentary was going to be about. And that also maybe, I don't think that Enrique Berdon has a bad reputation in Catemaco, but he's one of the heavy hitters. You know what I mean? He's the guy up on White Monkey Mountain. He's the guy that's got the fucking power, or knows how to touch the power. Okay, hold on. I lost Miles. I can't hear him. I can't hear Miles, okay. Brett.
Are you okay?
Okay.
That's okay.
Okay. I can hear you now. For a second there, I couldn't hear you, Miles.
Yeah, I'd hit a thing called a mute button.
Okay. All right. I know what that is.
But I knew it worked. I knew it's just it's the thing with compliance and broadcasting. If you look at a lot of these documentaries, like building things in Alaska, they even mask out the registration numbers of any plane or boat.
Yeah.
So I think it's relatively standard that, and if you don't shoot it in the first place, you don't have to mask it out.
Yeah, that's why good call.
But it would seem that you were given the opportunity to have an experience, which meant that you could actually experience this on your own without if the documentary team were there. You would have been it would have been distracting, perhaps.
I think so, and it could have taken away from the sense of mystery, because my retelling of this tale is, frankly, I did my first, world premiere video with you, and then I subsequently did an interview with the Leak Project, and that it's already had like 18,500 views. So, it's not really the book that people mostly want to hear about. It's this blood sacrifice ritual. It's somehow compelling, and
well, why do they do it? What does it actually mean? I mean, we hear about these blood sacrifices, and we've seen it on Hammer horror movies and stuff like that. We all get very sort of scared, or blah blah blah. And maybe there's other things involved that we need to know about. Can you tell us about that?
Well, here's the deal. Every time you go eat a hamburger, that's a blood sacrifice ritual, minus the ritual. So you're cheating yourself every time you eat a hamburger and get meat from the store. Now, if you're a vegetarian, a vegan, which maybe the human being was designed to be, but I'm not, then I can't, make a rebuttal. But all I can tell you is that since I have changed about a month ago, I'm now realizing that I'm treating these animals with love. These animals are special animals. From the moment they were born, these animals were special animals, and they're treated better than the other farm animals. And they have special traits and characteristics which are needed for these different occult groups. Like there was a beautiful goat, male goat, with the horns and everything, with the long, white hair that they did. I've seen on one of their, videos recently. But the goat that I sacrificed was the goat that had been born and bred to be the goat to be sacrificed this spring equinox. This last spring equinox. Well, I got him ahead of time, okay? Because, we had been talking about them and talking about making the deal with Enrique Berdon when we were in the United States. And he was like, okay, that sounds good. He's like, hit me up when you get here. You know what I mean? In other words, get over here and then we'll finalize the deal. When I went and talked to Enrique, they brought the maestro in, and this is and he was wearing one of these Guevara shirts. I can't remember exactly what they're called, but it's kind of like a traditional Mexican shirt, but you're with nice embroidery on it. And I'm telling you, this man looked at least 10 years younger than he is. When you look at some pictures of him, especially on those pictures taken by Gerald L. Long, he looks his age in those pictures, which is about 52 or 53. But when I saw him, and on the footage that I have, that you've even put your, we used one of those pictures. He looks considerably younger, considerably. He looks like a man who's maybe 42 years old or something like this. He's a very powerful individual. He doesn't. His English is better than my Spanish, and we talked about a few things. And he showed me this team that came from Russia. That's a famous psychic from Russia, and they traveled all the way across the world with their documentary film team. And he showed me some stuff, the newspaper article, and him doing rituals with this guy who's famous in Russia, I guess. I mean, if I said his name, I doubt you'd know who he is, but it was all very interesting. But that guy and his whole team, he charged them $2,000 in American. Okay? And so he reasoned that, since it was just basically just me there, my team chickened out and everything like this, he would charge me $1,000 American. Of course, I instantly agreed. And so then that's when they had to put in the call to go get the clairvoyant girl who lives in a nearby village, because they have to have the clairvoyant girl. At this point, I still did not know anything about Lucifer, but I knew that there was going to be, I knew about the goat, because they already told me, not only, what I'm kind of getting for my money, whether it's the goat, the clairvoyant girl, the falling down, the white magic ritual, they bought all the flowers. There's many flowers. I don't know if you've had time to look at those videos from the white magic ritual, but and so.
But is this the balancing of energies? Is there some kind of balance involved here?
It really is, Miles. I think that's really what it is, because on the black magic ritual, that if we would have delayed it even one day, it would not have been on the autumnal equinox. But of course, I had already been drinking, of course, eating meat and all this stuff, maybe even doing whatever else people do in Mexico, and so not being cleansed or whatever. But he made sure to tell me that by midnight to not eat any meat. So here's one thing that we keep saying, a recurring thing that we keep saying, like with these ayahuasca rituals in Peru and everywhere else, these shamans, they have all these lists of rules. You know what I mean? Do this, don't do that. Don't have sex. All this stuff. Well, when it comes down to where I'm dealing with this shaman, in the jungles of the Amazon or whatever, like it was in Puerto Maldonado in Peru or whatever, or in Mexico, wherever it is, these motherfuckers, they get one look at me and they're like, fuck it, this guy ain't gonna follow in the rules. They're like, one rule. I get one rule. That's it. One rule. Yeah. So the one rule was don't eat meat.
And did you do that?
Oh,
did you not eat meat?
No. I followed the rules. If you can if you can get me down to one rule, I'll follow the damn rule. I'm not a law. I believe in the. I know that the laws, rules, and stuff like that are like weak reflections of cosmic law. So I am a law abider. You know what I mean? Am I just if I do look at some 420 or something like that every once in a while, that's not here nor there. Everybody's doing that, and on top, I'm just a law abider. But especially of cosmic law.
Okay, describe cosmic law, please, because it's quite important here.
Well, it's just be kind to others. That's part of it. And it's just, I don't know, it's a very subjective thing for every person.
Welcome to part two. And on this part, you want to talk about blood, the detail of that ritual.
Yeah. Yeah, the blood sacrifice ritual. So anyway, I made the deal with Enrique Berdon, and it was a amount of money that it's I guess is maybe a large amount of money, but it was, of course, we were already prepared to do this, and it was within the budget, and so of course we immediately agreed. And his henchmen came, and of course I left the money in the hotel with my man, right? I didn't take the money with me, and so because we had not agreed on the amount of money yet. That's why. Okay, so anyway, we went up there to Monkey Mountain and met the beautiful sorceress Yane. They advised me that they were going to have to go get the clairvoyant girl, the 16-year-old clairvoyant girl who's going to be involved in the ritual. She was from a nearby village, and so they just made me comfortable with some lemonade or something like this, and we waited, and then while we were still waiting, I waited for about 20 minutes. And then Enrique came and he brought me a black robe. Okay, this black robe is basically just like the one that I use
here in the United States, and I had my black robe with me, which is a black robe that I personally made with a sewing machine. But it was back at the hotel. I didn't know we were going to do the ritual that night, but I wanted to do it on the autumnal equinox.
What is the significance of the black robe?
Well, and I think you've
black?
asked me, you've asked me that before, and the truth is, I really don't know. But the thing is, black, it's a color of mystery, right? It's, it's something that's going on in the darkness. So maybe it's something for the initiated, but at the same time, in many of these rituals that I'm in, there are, depending on what the ritual is, people with white robes. So yeah, there's a lot of symbology, and
And then there's the purple robe.
Purple. It's a royal color. But when we think of black and we think of white, of course we think of these Masonic ideas. This black and white checkerboard, the game of whatever duality, right? Black and white. So, and we see so much of that thrust upon us in the media and everything. It's like the whole world has to be black and white. You have to agree or you have to disagree. You have to get engaged with this. It's our narrative. We don't care if you hate it or if you love it. We just want you to be engaged. And so that's a very profound idea.
So go ahead with what happened.
Okay, so here's the deal. Enrique came and he said, okay, the time was ready. All right, then he gave me that black robe. And so I put on the black robe. He was wearing his regular clothes with what he was wearing when I met with him. It's this Wero shirt, and his sunglasses and his pants and everything like this. And so, and the henchman stayed out there, and we advanced, and we came out of his office, still in the compound. And then we went over here to where the pentagram was. And the pentagram was.
Can you explain the significance of this pentagram? Is it everything? What's the significance of this thing?
Well, first of all, a pentagram is a symbol of a man. You've got the man, humankind, womankind. The arms and the legs, and then the head coming up like that. So it's a symbol of a man for one thing. It's also got the number 5 associated with it. And for the 5 points of it, interestingly enough, Jack Parsons, who created the modern solid fuel rocket booster, has a cavity in it that's an exact pentagram. So we see that this pentagram is more than an idea. It's something that in physical reality, it's somehow one of these shapes that reality is built on. Much like these platonic solids I was talking about earlier. So anyway, in the photographs by Gerald O. Long, I don't know what this is they have. That's a pentagram. I mean, it's up in the air. I mean, it's 2 or 3 stories tall, but it's a complete pentagram and it's on fire. The pentagram I went into was like burned in the ground or maybe tar or something like this. But we stood outside of the pentagram, but you can easily see the pentagram. And in the middle of the pentagram was a flaming cauldron. 3 or 4, 3.5 feet above the ground, with a big brazier, a big metal pit with all these logs in it, just blowing up fire, And so we stood outside of the pentagram. And he said, do not step on the lines of the pentagram. And so we each took one step and got inside the pentagram. Then he started telling me a bunch of stuff. Not all of it did I understand because he speaks Spanish, but he actually translated very good. But I've been involved in the occult for a lifetime. So these ideas and concepts he's telling are very familiar to me. We do our Widdershins. We do our counterclockwise movement, and we're praying to the east and to the north and to the south and to the west, and he instructs me to hold my hands out like this above the brazier to feel the power. Well, of course you're feeling the power. You're not going to get too close to it. You got to burn your hands off. You know what I mean? Fire is something that is one of the spiritual element that is closest in its physical reality where we live to its spiritual component. Just throwing this in, the very next day on the white magic ritual, I had to apologize to the water for contaminating it. I had to apologize to the earth for contaminating it. I had to apologize to the air for contaminating it. And then when I was finished, I was like, okay, let's apologize to the fire. And he's like, homeboy, you ain't got to apologize to the fire. You can't contaminate that, huh? What's up? You can't contaminate that fire. That's what they got the goddamn fire, huh? So anyway, we did these rituals, and I thought it was all very nice. I was like, well, yes, we've really done a good ritual and everything like this. And so then he instructs me that we're headed to the sacred underground cave. And I'm talking about a cave that is man-made. It's a cave, I guess he and his whatever's the people made, but it has had a candle lighted in it for over 5 years. It's always had a candle continually lit into it. Okay, he said, we've already got this stuff ready. We've got the goat, we've got the girl, right? The goat and the girl. Okay, we're going underground. That's it. That's fucking it. All right. I said, okay, here's the deal. Let's do this shit. So anyway, we go over there into these, cobblestone steps. It's descending down into the earth, and so we start going down the steps, and there's candles on every step, so you can see where you're going down these steps. And then we're going down the steps, going down the steps, going down the steps, and then we turn to the left, and then you're looking out into the room, and it's got stone walls all around. It's got skulls. It's got all kinds of stuff. Anyway,
Are you talking human skulls?
no, just like skulls of animals and stuff like that, and different type of stuff. But you really don't see any of that stuff because right off the bat, your entire attention is taken by this fucking statue that's like towards the back of the room. And I didn't know it was going to be this. And the goddamn statue of Lucifer, a 10-foot tall statue of Lucifer, the most beautiful statue you have ever seen. He's standing like this. He's standing like this. He's got the most masculine body imaginable. The body of like a bodybuilder, but it's like even almost like exaggerated. He's got a big smile on his face. He's got blank eyes. You can't see his eyes, and he's got these horns coming out of his head right here. Okay, and he's standing like this. And he's got an erection, as in a manly erection. In other words, with buttocks, slightly, clenched forward, with a type of male member that is, protruding out quite dramatically, along with the.
Is this statue human looking? Is it the Baphomet or what? Or
yeah. Oh no, it's not a Baphomet. It's a man. It's a man. It's a man. It's a man. But the man does have horns. It's a man. That's what he looks like, and he's red. And he's painted red. And I was like, what is this? And this is Lucifer, okay? And so here's the deal. That's when I realized, I was so captivated by that statue, it wasn't until we came closer into the room that I realized, oh my God, there's something at the base of the statue. And what I'm talking about, there was a totally nude, clairvoyant girl writhing in ecstasy, laying at the base of the statue of Lucifer with her eyes closed in a trance. This person was not an actor or an actress. This shit was 100% real. And Enrique started throwing the alcohol around. I don't know what kind of alcohol it is. It's rum alcohol, or something like that. And then there's these, this incense is just overpowering you with this, the smell of incense. And, and this girl is moaning, and she's moaning, oh, you can't remember. You don't understand Spanish anyway, so you really don't know what she's saying, and everything like this. I mean, glistening sweat all over her, nude body, and her pubis, or whatever you want to call it, was like shaved. In other words, so it's like, and it's just a sweat. Just sweating profusely, and there was the power, and I was already starting to feel the power. And then Enrique started slinging that alcohol right around. He's slinging it around the room. He's getting on everything. He's getting on me. And I said, what's up? I said, give me that motherfucker. I held my hand out like that. He gave me the goddamn bottle, And I was, I took the bottle. I gave it back to him. I mean, I don't know. That's part of the ritual of goddamn. You're slinging alcohol around the room. I'm going to fucking drink something. You know what I mean? And he goddamn, the incense and everything. And this woman was and he encouraged me to go near the statue and to touch the statue. And so I went to the statue, and the statue was perfect. It was perfect down to the last detail. And he encouraged me to touch the statue. And so I was running my hands all over the statue, and it was a 10-foot tall statue of Lucifer, but it's on. This is kind of the weird deal about it, because he's telling you put your hands on this statue, and it's a statue of a naked man, right? And so you're like, not gay or anything, but nothing wrong with that. But I'm just following the instructions of the sorcerer. So I'm running my hands all over this beautiful, like, masculine body, and even, but since it's on a 2-foot pedestal, I only come up to a certain height, and I'm hugging the statue and hugging its legs and stuff like that. And then I come around to the back and I'm hugging it there, and it's just like the butt or the anus or whatever of the statue of Lucifer happens to be right like where your face is. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that was calculated or what. So you're just basically like loving this statue, even touching the the genitals of the statue and everything like that. And shit is just getting heated up, man. I mean, it's just fucking. You start hearing this ringing in your ears, man, and that's when they fucking start to get you activated. And that's when he fucking starts blowing that goddamn.
How does it get you activated? We're having a lot of breakup in the picture at the moment.
All of this stuff, everything's just coming together. And what it is I was being pulled into a trance. Pulled into a trance with the visual aspects of the cave and the statue and Enrique Berdon explaining the things to me, and a 16-year-old totally nude girl in front of the altar writhing literally in ecstasy. I mean, she was fixing to come off this motherfucker. And I mean, this shit, I was getting in the trance too. And then I drank some more alcohol, and then Enrique, totally out of the blue, he said, Manifesto! Manifesto! And he was yelling at that statue. He was trying to tell it to manifest. I said, what the fuck is going on? I said, is this statue going to come to life or what? I mean, I don't know what the hell to expect. You know what I mean? And he's like, get her right here in front of the girl on this altar and everything. But he didn't tell me to. But I touched the girl. And I had my hands on her arm. And she was practically coming. He didn't tell me to touch her, but I put my hands on her arm, and she was practically coming off this motherfucker, man, in that goddamn sweat. I mean, the fucking sweat was just fucking coming off of me, and it was just fucking coming off of her, and it was just a lot of fucking sweat. And I was kneeled down there, holding on to the girl like that, and then I fell for one of the oldest tricks in the book. I was just sitting there just like totally entranced, and then bang! He fucking rang this huge fucking bell right in my ear, surreptitiously, where I didn't know it. And I was just like, ah! Ah! It's like, it totally, it brings you out of your reverie. I was just, ah! And then before I could even calm down, I turned around, and there was fucking Yane, the beautiful sorceress, dressed in a black robe, just like I was. I don't know how that bitch got down there, and she had on a fucking leash. She had a goat. A full-size goat. You understand me? And that's the goat. That's the goat. We had already been messing with the knife. Enrique had already run the knife over the girl's chest. And he looked at me to say, do you understand? You understand what I'm saying? In other words, I don't know what the next level is. You know what I'm saying? But he's rubbing this knife, a ceremonial dagger, over a human being's skin. And I looked at him. I said, yes. I said, yo entiendo. So it's not like he, has not warned me where this might go. But here's the deal. And so there's Yane, and there was the fucking goat right there. And that motherfucker goat, that goddamn goat, he was he was chewing the cud. Just sitting there like, looking like goats do. Real dumb, just chewing the cud. There's a goat that's been treated good his whole life. A goddamn ceremonial goat. But that's when it overcame me, that I realized that the responsibility that had been put on me, because now it was time to do or die. You understand what I'm saying, huh? I didn't come halfway around the world, to look like a chicken in front of my new friends. You understand? And they didn't have to tell me where that knife was. It wasn't this knife right here, but it this one reminds me of it. But it was a ceremonial dagger. And it was right over there by the girl, where I had been rubbing over that girl and everything like that. And that's when you know what you have to do. And let me tell you, I had a moment of weakness where I looked right there at the goat, and that goat, he just looked just like that. That goat, He didn't fucking see any of this shit coming. He didn't see none of this shit coming, all right? And I was even had a weak thought to myself thinking, hey, goddamn goat, that goat didn't do nothing wrong to me, huh? And so I had a moment of hesitation, but I mean, it was so short of a moment because I would not have been, I would have been embarrassed in front of my new friends. And so I just walked over there to Yane, and I mean, she was just looking at me with these black eyes. I mean, she is so beautiful. Yane, dressed just like I was, in a black robe, just holding that deal. I mean, how the fuck they got there, I don't know. It doesn't even make sense that they could have even snuck up on me like that. You know what I mean? And then they ring the goddamn bell, and then all of a sudden the motherfuckers are there. You know, what the fuck is going on? So anyway, I grabbed that leash, and Yane looked at me, and she's so beautiful, but I just didn't even look at her, and I had a goddamn knife, and I just got that goddamn, I put that knife right there on that, stump and everything like that, and I got that motherfucking goat, and I got him right here, and goddamn, I just picked that motherfucker up, and I didn't slam him, I just, put him down there, and then I grabbed him, and I started going after that motherfucker! I just started tearing that fucking bitch up! And the fucking blood was going everywhere, man! Everywhere! You goddamn. And then motherfucker, and they think, those people, they're tearing out his heart and holding it above their head to where all this blood come out, so I think I'm gonna do that. So I get the goddamn knife, and I'll stick it up in there. But it's rib cage or something, I don't know the anatomy of a goat. I was like, fuck that shit, man. I just fucking threw that goddamn knife down, and I just picked that motherfucker up. His tongue was already sticking out of his head. He wasn't even, and I just picked that motherfucker, I just slammed that motherfucker down on the ground, huh? I broke him. I broke that motherfucker. And then, so he was dead. And so then, I looked at Enrique, and he said, and he pointed up there as if, you go upstairs to go over there with the henchman. And so I went up there, and I said, fuck that, I'm not going to do that. And I didn't go with the henchman. I just went out into the motherfucking jungle. And I was just, just going through the fucking bushes and being torn up by thorns and shit, rocks and all this stuff. And then it was just like when I started realizing that I was in the jungle, and then I was on the earth, and then I look up there in the sky, and it was the moon. And I said, ah! And then I started getting, thinking that I might get tired, and so I wanted to go back to the camp. But I said, no, I have to do this. And so I picked up a boulder. I kind of had to, pull it out of the ground and stuff, And I picked it up, and I mean, goddamn big boulder, man. It was about, I don't know, it was, 50 or 60 pounds or something like that. I said, I'll take this boulder right here. I'll take this motherfucking boulder. But then I was like, no, I can get one bigger. So fuck that, man. I threw it down on the ground, and I got this bigger boulder. And I got it up, and I picked it up like this. And then I was like, oh, fuck that, man. That motherfucking boulder's too heavy. So I threw that one down, and I got the first one. And I got that boulder, and I picked it up, and then I went back. And I went back to the compound. I was marching with my boulder. I was holding it here to the chest, and I could see my goddamn, moon right there and everything. And then, boom, I came out of those bushes and all those briars and everything. I busted out in those compound, and I had that boulder above my head. I said, you see? You see? It's just like Cain and Abel! It's just like Cain and Abel in the Bible! And his henchmen didn't know what to do. But Enrique was standing in front of them. I came towards him, and he held his hand in front of his man like that. And he's like, hold your ground. You hold your ground on this motherfucker. And that's what they did. They held your ground. And then so I turned around away from them, and I threw that boulder down on the ground so hard into the earth it made a thud. It went boom, as you could feel it. And then goddamn, I turned around to them. I said, you see? It's just like Cain and Abel! And so, I calmed down then, and they knew everything was okay, that I wasn't gonna attack them with that boulder, and so they relaxed, and you could see a sigh of relief going off their chest and everything like that. So anyway, that's when Enrique approached me and he instructed me, because I still had on my black robe. He pointed to these sinks over here and everything. He showed me to go wash my robe in the sink. In other words, it's a part of the occult that you're supposed to clean your own house and take care of your own business and stuff like this. And so I was to wash my own black robe, and so of course I took it off and I put it in the water. I put it on some water and stuff like that. I mean, they got old ladies and stuff like that take care of that shit around there. So I mean, I just made a point to show that I was really doing the washing and doing the work and everything like this. And then I just let it go down there. And then so I went over there back to Enrique and his men, and he gave me the final instructions for what we were going to do on the white magic ritual the next day. And I assured him that the film team would be there because I was going to be showing up alive. That would be worth a lot to them. And so that's exactly what happened. And his henchman, the one that they were all scared of, took me back to the hotel, and he was instructed to get the money from me. And so I went and I took him to Rick's room, and they stayed there and waited for me. And I went to my room and I got $1,000, and I came back and I gave it and I gave it to that man and got my final instructions. And then I went out on the town of Catemaco. The air smelled like electricity. I was so much blood already pumping it through my veins, and I got lost in the town. It's like every time I left my hotel, like seriously, usually like, okay, here I am, north, south, east, west, getting lost. I mean, so the whole town is like very weird. And I ended up running around different parts of the town, almost like a madman. I had washed up, and of course I still had blood on me. I mean, I wasn't just covered like with blood, but people in this town, they know what happens in this town. Let me tell you, nobody would even look at me. There wasn't that many people out. But then I was ready to get home, and I tried to get a cab. There was no cab drivers would pick me up. No one would. Everyone ran away from me like I was the devil or something. But maybe maybe even been drinking more or something. There's maybe scientific reasons for this. And I just kept getting lost. And then there was these dogs, and there was a bunch of kind of just weird stuff. But finally at the bus station, I convinced this guy, because see, I was like, it came to the point where I was like holding out money, which would be a lot of money in Mexico for anyone, a cab driver, anyone, to give me a ride home. And you see, this is the amount of money. I mean, I don't know how much it would be in American, probably less than $100, right? But over there, I mean, goddamn, that's a month's wages and everything like that. But you got a man, covered with blood over here holding out money, trying to give you a ride, get a ride. It's something you might want to think about, huh?
Yeah, it's mildly disconcerting.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of how it went down. But anyway, finally I convinced this guy that I wasn't going to, kill everybody. And he called this other guy, and he gave me a ride home back to the hotel. And so after that point, I wasn't eating any meat. And the very next morning at 10 a.m. in the morning, the henchman came, and Enrique and Yane, and what he did is he put Yane in our vehicle. In other words, so that we wouldn't get lost. He put the beautiful sorceress in the vehicle with me and Rick, and we went to the flower market first. We got stuff we wanted. She went to the flower stuff to get all these flowers and stuff. And then we went to the Laguna Catemaco. And you remember, Laguna Catemaco and the town of Catemaco is a resort town for well-to-do Mexican people. In other words, if you live in the United States and you might like to go visit Aspen or something like this, down there you might like to go visit, Catemaco. And having nothing to do with any sorcery or occultism or anything like that. But at the same time, they know that, I don't know how the people down there discern this in their mind, but we had a boat captain. They had the old man with them too, the mysterious old man, but the boat captain was implicit that he did not want us to take the serial numbers of, film him really, or film the... And so we went, and they put me in the water. And these are all the pictures that you've got of the, the rituals of me and Enrique, being in the volcanic lake and everything like this.
So ultimately, what was the purpose of this ritual? What happened? Can you recall what you went through inside?
There was a purpose, and there was an intention that I went down there with. And that's something that I will give you a hint about, but I will not tell you what it is, because I don't want to take the magic off of it or nothing like that. But somebody before they died, somebody I know and that I'm related to, warned me before they died that there was a man that's out to get me. And so the thing is, we're neutralizing these things and here very soon. There's going to be one less piece of shit in this world. That's all I got to say about that, Miles.
So there's a guy who got a contract or something, or if what's
No,
only say the-
way worse
Yeah.
than that. It's just a man that's got a burning desire. A man whose contracts are nothing. A very incredibly rich man. Wants nothing more than to destroy me. And I was warned by my father, and I'm sure that my father was afraid that I would be powerless to stop this thing. And the truth is, I'm not. I'm working with energies, and I'm whatever I was born to do is something that is happening right now. And it's hard to take it all in and understand exactly what's going on with me, but it's part of a larger, scenario.
were you in some way requesting the help of that being that was symbolized?
In every way. It's just like in the days of the Greek and wars and all this stuff. These people crying out to their pagan gods to be saved. To cast their enemies down. Fucking ruin those motherfuckers. You know what I mean? And a goddamn, if my mission means anything, then they're not going to let these motherfuckers stop me.